romantic image of a fisherman's life was always false. For their wives and families, the hard reality meant an odd existence. Now, virtually the last big English trawler has sailed, done a trip, and returned. This is the story of the families of 4 of that boat's crew.
It's a worrying life. I mean, you're here in the port, aren't you? And you can hear the winds, and you can see the sea if you're high up, and you think of them out there, you know. You're worrying all the time. It's horrible. My husband had been in the Laforet for a long while, a really long while. And I'd got used to him being in this ship. And I came home from work this day, and my sister came in. And she said, "Sit down a minute." So I said, "Why?" She said, "No, just sit down, Phil." She said, "So he's not on the Laforet?" I said, "No, he isn't." She said, "Well, you know he's not on the Laforet." So I said, "Yes, he's not on the Laforet." "No," I said, "what's the matter?" She said, "Well, I didn't want you to read it in the paper, because I thought you would have thought that he was on it. It's gone down with all hands." I felt terrible. I knew all those men, you know, and we used to go out every trip on outings with them when they landed. And it was really a terrible shock. How pleased I was my husband wasn't on it.
We'd landed, I don't know, it was 1 or 2 days just before Christmas, and we was ordered away for the Boxing Day, which it was that time, like. And she said to me, "Oh, don't go." She said, "Christmas and that." I said, "No, I'm not." So I said, "Oh, I'm not going." And I believe all the crew was in the same mind. I went down dock a couple of days later, and I met the mate of the Northern Dawn, and he said, "Do you want a job, John?" So I said, "Yeah, I don't mind." No. So I went, and as it happened, we had a winch job, so we had to go in Icefjord at Iceland. And while I was in there, the agent come and told the skipper that the Laforet had gone, all hands leave missing. And that's how I found out. Mind you, I was shocked.
Even now, a fisherman dies at sea every 8 days. Nearly every fisherman has suffered some serious injury or been washed overboard at some time. Fred Lambert has been washed overboard and washed back 3 times.
Horrified. But you get to the stage where if they go over, or 3 times, they say the sea never wants them. And I believe that. Even though it's bad weather, I still worry, but to me, the sea won't take him. It brought him back, so therefore it'll never take him. And I've got to believe that to keep myself sane. When I first got married, my mother-in-law always said, you know, you never wash the day he sails because you're washing him away. And to this day, I've been married 22 years, I've never washed the day he sailed. I won't wash him away.
Now it's 5 to 2, and here's the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office at 13:05 on Sunday, the 16th of February. There are warnings of gales and German Bight, Humber, Thames, Dover, White. East 6, increasing gale 8 at times, perhaps severe gale 9 later in White. Rain or sleet later, moderate or poor.
Well, usually if there was anything on the television, even though it wasn't concerning Fred, I'd probably sit there and tears come to my eyes, and I think, well, somebody else has got that heartbreak. I mean, it could be us, but somebody nevertheless has got the heartbreak of listening that it's their family.
Couldn't sleep at night. and I used to prop a chair up near the door, and especially when it was winter and windy and that, I used to lay awake hours thinking about, you know, all the fishermen at sea and that, bad weather, because you never used to know if they was going to come home safe or see him again, like, being out there. Yeah, I had a friend who lived near me, and her husband had got killed at sea. There was a fire on board. I think he was on the Scampton, and that upset me a lot. You know, keep thinking all these things and that. She was left with 4 little children to bring up and that.
When your man comes in from Iceland with his pockets lined with pay, time to grab your share of living, king and queen now for a day. Find the bright lights while they're shining, laugh and sing and drink till dawn. All too soon it's time for sailing in the dockside's early morn.
When they're coming dark, well, you go down to meet them. I used to be working, mind you, and I used to have time off work, get all my glad rags on and my makeup and one thing and another, and off I used to go to meet him. And we'd go down dock and get his settlings. I was probably coming in a taxi. Well, he was king for a day and I was his queen.
Oh, yeah, it was a fabulous time. Every day there was loads of people out shopping and going for a drink or a meal, all down Freeman Street. And it was absolutely packed, Freeman Street. Every public house was full. The shops was full.
It was a boom town.
Yeah.
It really was. It was a lovely town.
You was a millionaire for a day, put it that way.
With a
few bob. But you'd earned all that in the course of 3 weeks. So it looked a lot, which it wasn't really when you think about it.
Right near the fish stocks was most probably full of fishing family. Every other house was a fishing family, you know. All the little terraces round, which have gone now, that's where the fishermen lived. We lived in a little terrace house. Wanted a cup of sugar, you went in and borrowed one, you know, to somebody and things like that. But everybody's gone now. They've all been moved out of town and all the buildings pulled down.
It's saddening the way it's gone. As I say, years ago there was communities and things. But there was a crowd of you went out together and you stuck together. You don't see any of that now. You know, you'd go out, you'd have a good laugh, you know, all your wives and everything. You'd have a good laugh. Used to get bus outings up and go on bus outings, all the crews and wives and everything. You see none of that now. Well, when I was single, got the social life, yeah. It was just a matter of getting drunk, really. Straight in the nearest pub. Get drunk, sleep it off and start again. There's never any variation, it was just drinking all the time. I think you went to an excess in everything you did, you know, with regard to drinking and stuff like that. Women, I suppose. You just went mad when you come home. Yeah, you've been 3 weeks, been deprived of everything. So you just made up for it when you came home. Oh, you had to. You'd crack up if you didn't. You had to have some release somewhere. The job could rarely get on top of you. And if you didn't have any release, it would get on top of you, you know. So you just went mad with everything you did.
After I'd got divorced from my husband, who was fisherman, I thought then I'd never get involved with another fisherman. You know, I didn't blame him having a drink, like for being away so many days or weeks, but, well, there was a limit, really. I used to get cleaned up and sort the kids out and cook the dinner, and then he'd have it ready for dinner. He wouldn't come home. Afternoon when the pub shut, and didn't come home. Probably didn't come home at tea. So one day I was fed up, I took the dinner to the pub. Anyway, he ate it, said he enjoyed it, but I'd forgot the salt and pepper. Then there's another time, I made a pan of dinner and that. Everything got wasted, it was all left drying up, and we're not coming home. And I just had enough, so one day I got some mince morsels, made a pan of mince, dumplings in, and he ate that. He was that drunk, he didn't know what he was eating. But he just used to go over the limit, drinking all the time, and get nasty and upsetting the kids and that. It just got you down, you know. You had to take all the responsibility yourself, and he was like mother and father all the time. So I just took it for granted that there was all the same, drinking and out round the pubs all the time. But was the majority of them that's quiet and all right. But then I met Dave. He was a different person.
Yes, I've definitely had to be mother and father, bringing the boys up alone. Well, he was the man of the house. He was the oldest, therefore he more or less took over the children to help me with the children at that time while I was with my nerves, you know, so that he was the man of the house while his father was away. So in a way I made him older with the responsibilities before he should have been.
He was away for 2 weeks, home for, say, a few days, then away for 2 weeks. I've seen him about a third of my life. I've seen my dad. Other children see them every day, just about. But with my dad being a fisherman, he's nearly never been home.
We were only part-time families, just 3 days a month to share. Growing children knew their father as an empty waiting chair. And for wives, 100 burdens of the unrelenting day, as they held a home together for the men a world away.
Fishermen were inevitably part-time husbands and fathers. Very rarely were they there even for those special times, births, birthdays, or Christmas. The tradition then was that presents were not opened till fathers landed. The Lamberts did open their presents, but it didn't help.
Well, because I was miserable, the kids were miserable. I mean, they knew what I was feeling, because to me, with having the 4 boys and on my own, if Fred had been home, then we would have been a complete family. The kids still played with the presents, but it isn't like if your husband's there or mother and father are there, the kids enjoy it better.
It was very rare when he was at home. Oh, I always remember one Christmas when he was at home. Christmas morning, he broke his ankle and spent it in hospital. So he wasn't at home that bloody year either. Well, as we didn't know any better, because Father was always a fisherman, like, we just took it for granted. He only had 2 or 3 days in dock when he came in. He spent as much time as possible with him. First thing was, raid his bag, his sea bag, because he always had a bag full of goodies. Tins of Quality Street and different things like that. We always used to raid that, empty that first. No, he'd treat us all. We'd all get a few bob off him, like, after he'd settled up. No, it was always a good time when he came home. I'm not saying it was a bad time when he was away, but it was always an extra special time to us, you know. And I used to love it.
Yeah, we were spoilt. We were spoilt when my dad was. You know, we, like fisherman family, you know, every time my dad come home, it was excitement, and you got something new. My dad used to take us down to Gleedles. That was a shop on it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Gleedles,
yeah.
and fit us out with clothes, and to the Humber stores, and fit us out. You know, give us toys. You know, and he'd pay for it the next trip and all this, like, you know. Kath says she notices the difference when I come home. You know, I miss him when I'm at sea. And I suppose now he's getting older, he misses me. You know, he's all excited.
Oh, another ship bell.
But I leave it up to Kath. She's like the mother and father when I'm at sea.
It's a lonely life. Spend a lot of time on your own, family. I think you have to get used to the fact that you're on your own, and there's going to be a time away up to 3 or 4 weeks. Adam doesn't sleep when his dad's away because he misses him. And then when he comes home, it's ever so queer. He'll sleep all night long as though he knows he's home and we're safe. But as soon as he goes away again, he's waking up all night long. He misses him that much, I think. Now that he's getting older, his memory's getting longer, so he's always mentioning Dad. And he's on a ship boat, gone on a ship boat. He'll never work ashore. He told me that when I first met him. He loves the sea, and that's his life.
Grimsby now has only a small, struggling inshore fishing fleet. The crews are on a share of their boat's catch. If they catch nothing, they get nothing.
Well, normally we usually go away for, what, a week. Hopefully a week, depending on the weather. Maybe 10 days. And then, well, if the fishing is good and that, you could be in dock for a day and straight out again, doing it all again. But we had to work the weather. If the weather's fine, we had to be at sea. Now, the skipper, he usually has to look after the engines. You have one man to look after the net and the fish room, and another man to do the cooking, or even the skipper does the cooking, you know, you all muck in. You know, it gets hard at times. You're under each other's feet, but you can't be out, you know. You all have to muck in and make the best of the job itself, instead of each person having an individual job. When I was in the Ross boats, the cat boats, what we call the cat boats, we used to carry 13 men. Now, in them 13 men, you had 2 engineers and a cook, the skipper, the mate, the boatswain and the deckhands. Now on this job, there's 4 of you. Also, the difference between deep water vessels was, in deep water vessels, you was guaranteed you did 18 hours. That's the most you could do, 18 hours on a deck, and you was guaranteed 6 hours below, which included meal times, but you was guaranteed that sleep. Well, on these, we don't work a watch below. We're just continuous hauling, shooting the net, day in, day out, you know. The time you've hauled, then you drop your fishing board, you gut it, you wash it, it's all washed by hand, put down a fish room, sort it out, and tuck your wet gear off. It's, you don't get very long, you know, when you bunk before you're out again, because the gear's got to keep going in and out as much as possible. Right, you want a cup of coffee, Ted? Yeah, please. We try to have a set breakfast and a set tea. You know, a breakfast and then tea time would be a cooked meal. But it doesn't always work out. You know, if there's something wrong on the deck, it could be dinner time before we had breakfast. It could be midnight before you had, you know, your tea. But sometimes you might go to 24 hours, just, you know, eating a snack, not, you know, like a sandwich or something, but not having a cooked meal, you know. This should come up there. If that don't work, we'll put some rope on that bedding in the drum, pick it up one side. It all depends on the condition of the fishing, you know, your meals, your sleeping habits and all that. But there's nothing that you can say you're getting a regular sleep. You know, you can't guarantee that you're going to go to bed once you've been up. You've got to adjust yourself to just getting, like, naps when you can. That's a big difference. You're not guaranteed the 6 hours. Don't catch as much as them ships on the inshore boats, but if it's going in and out regular and you're on a regular living, you know, steady living, you know, you're talking about a good trip. Winter time, you got to work, get out when you can with a fine weather, or reasonable weather. Whereas summer, you know, it's pretty regular in and out, you know. But winter time, if it's, you know, with your gales and that, you can be in dock a few days. Otherwise, you're running regular in the summer, you know. You're not getting a lot of rest at all. Accommodation-wise, you haven't got a toilet. You have to go on a bucket. Where in the cat boats we had 2 toilets. We had a bath, wash basins. And that. Here you haven't got no wash basins or anything like that. We don't carry enough water to get a proper wash anyhow. up, I'll be waiting.
On this particular trip, the boat brought in fish worth less than £300, not enough to cover the trip's expenses. The men got nothing.
Do I enjoy it? Yeah, I won't be here. Yeah, I enjoy it. I don't enjoy this life as much as I did trawling, deep water trawling. But it's something I've got to get used to, you know.
Scott Watson is one of the lucky ones. He's still fishing, which is what he wants to do, even if he's only scraping a living on inshore boats. Of the rest of the 13-man crew of that final deep water trawler, most are unemployed. 4, including Fred Lambert, have found jobs on oil rig support vessels out of Grimsby. But life remains financially precarious even on support vessels. For after 7 weeks at sea on low pay, men often land only to be laid off. Dave Pratt is also working on an inshore boat, risking 7 days' work for a share of whatever is caught, if anything.
I got offered this job and pair trawling, so I decided to go pair trawling. Still fishing, I still hate the job, but it's better than nothing. I suppose most people are happy that it's packed up now, especially the women. I don't think I could do it now anyway, time at sea. No, I've got old and mellowed a bit. Time at sea is too much now. 6, 7 days a week, you know, it's enough for me. I want to be back home then. Although we used to keep going out there, we was never on good money. Finish up with £58 a week. That was a basic wage going out, which isn't a living wage in anybody's eyes. And that was all you was guaranteed out the trip. And then we had a share of the catch at the end of the trip, which was £6 and 20 pence or something to the 1,000. Which, when you weigh it up, if you only made 15 or 16,000, didn't amount to a lot. Then you had all your tax and everything to pay out of that. So the only money you were really guaranteed was like £58 a week.
No comment. If you didn't make a trip, a lot of the lads was in debt. You know, to come up and they'd owe money. They'd owe money to the company. They won't pick anything up. See, and that meant getting another sub. He was allowed £5 sub. And they'd had to pay that back the next year, so the next trip. So before they got even away, they was in debt for £5. And then the backer and the rum and the beer again. So, you know, they didn't see a lot out of it, really. Not for the weight they did.
They'd check it out your settling, so you did 2 trips for nothing, really. One to land in debt and one to pay him back. You know, everybody's young and stupid, aren't they? Oh, it was a challenge. We used to have contests like that. Leave your hood off or your southwester off. Be wet through and frozen up, you know. Stupid, you'd have your knife in your mouth and the slaver running down at you, freezing up in big icicles hanging off the end of your knife. Take your gloves off just to see how long you could keep them off. It was bloody stupid, really, but we was young, we was stupid. But we used to have contests. to see who was the bravest, you know. Which is stupid. I mean, we all suffer for it now, you know, with arthritis and things like that. No, I think I'll just check it from one day to the next, you know. See what happens. If I can earn some money, I will. If I can't, we'll get out of the job and find something else.
Down the years, many Grimsby fishermen did not join unions. Those that did faced problems organising. Being in different boats and unable to attend meetings altogether meant they could never successfully make common cause.
It was a great union. It had been worked if the men would stick together. At the same time, most of them would be at sea when the strike was called. It's not like Fleetwood did. They called a strike. Then men down tools at sea, but they wouldn't fish. They could keep the ships at sea, but they would not put that gear over the side. Kept the watches and everything. That's how it should have been done with us. I think myself, fishermen are very badly paid for the hours we have to put in, the conditions we have to put up with, like snow, ice, blowing, and you're coming home and picking nothing up. It makes a lot of difference to us. I think we're the worst paid there is in the country for the hours we really have to do. When you're working 18 hours in snow, blizzards, blowing force, 8 gales, 9 gales, you're still fishing all the time, and it is really hard. You won't see a man in the street working the same conditions as we do.
Even when fishing was booming, it has been estimated that the average deckhand, with bonuses, from a very good trip, got £3 an hour. For the not uncommon bad trip, it was often less than 50 pence an hour.
Very low. Say,
A pittance.
yeah, don't forget that's 18 hours a day for 7 days a week in all conditions. You're just like cattle waiting for a blooming job, you know, that's how bad it was at times. It's a terrible thing, and of course it is a like with you. But to finish up with nothing, it's a terrible thing. You know, spent a full lifetime at sea, and then you just kick to one side.
There's lorries coming in all the time from, you know, Holland, Denmark, straight over on the ferries. There's containers from Iceland. It's more like a Billingsgate of the North. It comes into Grimsby and then it's distributed out.
Ironically, one of the few jobs now needing the skills of ex-fishermen is working ashore with imported or Scottish fish. For Grimsby is now not a fishing, but a food town. Probably still the biggest fish market and distributor in Britain. But worries remain that if the catching and landing has gone elsewhere, to Scotland mainly, won't the market and distribution inevitably follow? And jobs will be lost again. If that happens, Grimsby, once the fish-catching Klondike of the East Coast, will still have its new industries. But the century-old tradition of fishing and its communities will remain only in memories and museums. The town now has more jobs for women than men. Many ex-fishermen's wives work in the factories processing the now imported fish their husbands once caught. Their fear for husbands far out at sea has gone. Their fear now is that the processing factories will follow the fish catching to Scotland, and their jobs will go also.
This was a time